Welcome to this how to use the Ortho Analyzer interface training video. So what do I mean when I refer to the interface? Well, as you can see on the screen here, I have a screenshot of the main Ortho Analyzer interface. And I'll be referring in the training video to 4 distinct areas of this interface. The first one is the main toolbar at the top. The second one is what we call the functional panel, which is to the left. And the third one is the visualization toolbar with all the icons here. I'll be covering that in quite a few details in this video. And also finally, the main session window where you will actually be working with your models. So what you'll learn in this video is what the difference between the areas are, how you interact with the tools, how you use your mouse in the system, and how you navigate the main session window, and actually what each of these 25 tools in the visualization toolbar are doing, and also how you can configure those toolbars. But let's go to Ortho Analyzer and see how it works. So now I am in Ortho Analyzer, and the first thing I want to show you is how you operate the mouse. Well, it's a little bit different from what you normally used to in your other applications on the PC. Firstly, when you try to move things down here with the left side of the mouse, nothing happens. And that's because the left button is reserved for other features in the Ortho system when you're doing analysis and measurement and planning, and you will see that in later videos. The right button, when you move that around, it will actually rotate the model on your screen as I have here. I'll just do a bit of wiggling around here, and as you can see here, I can move it around in pretty much any direction I want. If you have a middle button and you hold that down, you will be able to move the model in the X and Y direction here, up and down. And finally, if you have a scroll wheel on your mouse, you'll be able to zoom in and out, as I do here. So we really recommend that you have a mouse with both a left, a right, a middle button, and also a scroll wheel. So there are ways that you can configure how the right button works, and I'll get right to the first couple of tools here in the visualization toolbar here. As you can see, the very lower end here, I have 3 ways to operate the right side of the mouse. The first thing here is what we call rotate view. The second thing is what we call pan view, and the third thing here is what we call zoom view. Rotate view is default. That's what I've just been demonstrating. If I choose pan view and now go back here and move my right side again, it will actually now work exactly like the middle button is working here. And if I choose the last button here, zoom view, you probably guessed it, and I operate my right side of the mouse, it will actually work exactly like a scroll wheel. So if you do not have a mouse with a middle button or a scroll wheel, you can actually sort of imitate that by working with the tools down here. But again, we do recommend that you find a mouse with all these different buttons on. Okay, let's zoom in here. The next thing I want to show is how these sliders work. Sliders are some of the panels you up here in the upper right corners. We call them sliders. As you will see when you go into some of the other videos, you can have lots and lots of these sliders down here. Right now I just have 2, one for the mandibular and one for the maxilla, so the upper and lower jaw here. And you probably guessed it, you can remove one of the jaws by simply deselecting one of them here, both of them or one of them. Or you can also use the sliders that will make them more or less transparent. As I use the slider here, I'll use this slowly, as you can see it here. So using the sliders here is almost self-explanatory. The only thing you need to know is that you can completely remove a certain area in the visualization session window here by simply clicking in one of these sliders here, and that will remove, in this case, the mandible. So sliders, you will see that pretty much everywhere in the Ortho Analyzer system, and they are very easy to use and operate. So next up is how you use all the 25 tools in the visualization toolbar, and I'll take them from the top. So the first 6 ones here allow you to see your model that you have in the main session window here in a certain angle. They are almost self-explanatory. The first one here is the front view. The second here is the rear view, and you'll see it simply turns around. You could also have done this with a mouse, but sometimes it's easier simply to click on the view button here to get a certain view. You also have a right side view, a left side view, you guessed this by now, a top view, and a bottom view. So you'll notice that this model obviously came from a Trios intraoral scanner. This is now in what we call closed mouth view. You can also view this as an open mouth view, and there's an icon for this here. You click on this particular icon here, it's called open mouth view. I'll just move this a little bit around here. I need to make my right mouse button work as I want, and you'll see this is your open mouth view. And as you'll notice, when I flick between closed view and open view, these 6 icons here will change. They will pretty much do the same, but it's just a visual indication that they are different from open and closed. So when I go through them here one by one, you'll see it's the same functionality, only now of course it's in open mouth view. Okay. Now if I go back to let's say this view here, you may in some cases want to have the 2 jaws a little bit closer to each other for comfort when you have this view. I'll show you a little special tool to do that. It's a little bit out of the sequence and we have a separate video on that, but I'll show it to you real quick here. So what you do is you place the open view in sort of the side view, and then you go on this main functional panel here and choose the 3rd icon called alignment for open model set. So when you click on this, you expand a button here called modification, and under modification there's a button called transbox. This is a transfer box feature. So when you click this, what you do is you double click one of the jaws like I've done here, and then you literally with the left side of the mouse move it closer to the other side of the jaw and click done. So when I have a front view now, you'll see they are much closer to each other. So that was a little extra tip out of sequence because we have a separate video on how these manipulation features work. But for now, let's go back to the closed mouth view here. I'll go back to the front view. So the next icon up here is what we call zoom all. It's basically a way that if you move around here, you maybe have a zoom level that's too small, you maybe have it out of screen or something's gone wrong. You can always get back to full zoom mode by simply clicking on this button here. It will go into a full zoom like defined in the system. So if you sort of lose your model somewhere, you can always get back, either of course by choosing one of the previews up here or views up here, or by clicking this 100% zoom right here. I'll go to front view again. Next up is the real scale view, and that's a little bit of a special view. When I click on it, you see I have sort of an on-screen ruler here, and the way this works is that if you have a need for this zooming level to be 100% to scale, what you can do is to find a physical ruler or a caliper, whatever you prefer, hold it up to the screen, then drag by the right side of the on-screen ruler here, drag it until the scale here on screen is exactly the same as your physical scale on the device you're holding up to the screen. And once you are happy with that zoom level, then you know that your current zoom level here is 100% up to scale, real scale. So next up in the sequence here, axis locked rotation. So again, let me go back to the full view here. like this. I have an ability to lock the rotation to a certain axis. As you saw right now, I have pretty much full ability to rotate in any axis I want. Let me go back to the front view here. If I lock this to a certain axis, let's take the y-axis here, you'll see when I try to move around here, it will only move along the y-axis here, no matter what I do with my mouse. I can also choose another axis here, and you'll see here it's now the Z, or C as they say in America, axis that I'm rotating against here. Normally you would have a free rotation, but you can actually confine yourself to a certain axis if you want to. Okay. And the next couple of icons I will skip. We already went through them. This is open mouth view, and this is closed mouth view. Next up here is the teeth segmentation mode. So there's a separate video on how segmentation works. Segmentation basically means that you are separating the teeth so that the system understands these as separate 3D items. So when you click on this teeth segmentation mode, I click here, then I can actually select the individual teeth like I do here, because this model has been segmented already. So this is the only way if you want to visualize a specific teeth or tooth, then you can click on this if you have this teeth segmentation mode selected. For now, I'll just deselect it. Next up is the multi-view. When you click this, you'll get 6 small preview windows at the bottom of your screen. So the main window here works like you always done, but you always have readily available the 6 views that you can recognize up here from the top of the visualization toolbar. Right side, rear view, front view, left side view, maxillary view, and mandibular view. So it doesn't work like if you click on one of them, the main session window here will change. It is just a preview for you to have on screen for your viewing pleasure while you are working in the main session window here. Okay. Next up is the cross-section tool. Now this particular tool here has a lot of functionality in it, and there's a separate video on that, so I will not cover it in detail, but this is basically where you can do 2D sections in the model here, and you can follow as you move around here. You can follow a section, dig in, depart one of the parts here on the model. But as I said again, we have a separate video on how the 2D measurement tool works. There's a lot of functionality hidden in this little dialog box here, and I urge you to see the video if you want to see more about that. Another icon that accesses a feature that we have a separate video on is the virtual articulator. When I click on articulator, that's the next button up here, and I zoom out a little bit, you will see I actually now have a virtual articulator on my screen here. And again, lots and lots of functionality hidden in this particular icon, and we have a separate video on how the virtual articulation works. So for now, I'll deselect it. And then the final area that we have a separate video on is 3D measurement. Again, it's pretty much like a 2D measurement. You have a plethora of different tools here that you can use against a number of planes that you have defined here. So I'll not go into details about this particular icon. I'll just urge you again to watch the separate video on how to use the 3D measurement in the Ortho system. Next up is the screenshot feature, and that's actually very, very useful. And the way it works is that no matter what you have on screen, no matter what tool you're working with at the moment, you can take a screenshot of the current state of Ortho Analyzer. So when I do this, I capture a screenshot. I get a little capture info dialog box, and here I can enter some information. Screenshot 1. Very inventive. and I click create. So what happens now if I close the model again and go back to the patient browser? And I open the case from before, and this was actually treatment proposal here. When I click on this, you'll notice there's a tab called screenshots, and this is exactly the screenshot that we made from before. So all the screenshots that you take in the system, they will be placed in this screen snapshots tab in the patient browser. Okay, but let's go back to Ortho Analyzer. Okay, so we're now back in Ortho Analyzer, and we just have a handful of more tools to go through here. So I'll just skip the first one here for now. The second one is the ability to show scanner acquired texture. And what this means is that what I have on screen now is the rich color from the Trias intraoral scan. When I click this icon here, I remove all the nice colors, and this now shows just the textures. So pretty much the surface of the scan without the colors here. So when I'm in this mode, it almost looks like a gypsum model, as you can see here. When I'm in this mode, then the first icon here that I skipped actually becomes useful, because this is a very, very flat, almost black and white picture here. When I click the first one here, you can actually sort of mimic some shadows, make it look a little nicer. So I recommend that you use this tool primarily when you are working in a texture mode, like I have down here, because this actually gives you very, very nice shadow and lighting feature here. So it's a little bit easier to look at. So that's basically what these two icons do here. But for now, I'll just go back to the nice Trias colors. So the next one up here is show wireframe, and when I click on it the first time, you will probably think, what on earth is going on here? So when I zoom in now, you'll actually see what this is all about. So I zoom in quite a lot here, and this is actually a little bit behind the scenes view, because this is how the Trias intraoral scan, this model that you're working with right now, is stored in the computer. It's all a number of triangles here, and as you get into one of the interproximal areas here, the narrower it gets, the more icons, so the triangles there are, because it needs to have more detail level as you zoom in here. So this is if you want to inspect the quality of the scan. Of course, if you zoom out here, the more you zoom out, the darker it gets, but it is literally only when you zoom in that it gets any meaning here. So for now, I'll remove the wireframe. Okay. Second to last is show as transparent. This is a special feature where basically we put as much transparency into the two jaws as possible. And it's primarily when the two jaws overlap each other from the frontal view here, as you can see, that there's less transparency here. There are a number of reasons why you would want to use that, especially if you have more sliders here, you maybe have some attachments on, etc., or you have segmented the teeth and you want to look at certain areas. This is where you want to use this transparency mode here. You could always also have done it using the sliders here, but this is a quicker way to get pretty much a transparency that will allow you to have transparency but still see where the model is. And then the final one here in the visualization toolbar, and this is the perspective. So at first you will wonder what this does, and it will tell you, it's a little bit dialog box here warning that, because you will see in a second what this is doing to the model, that it is just a perspective thing. It has nothing to do with the occlusion or the way that the model is being stored in the computer. It's literally just another way to look at the model. So when I click OK here, you will see immediately what I mean. So it's almost like a freaky zoom level here. It adds a perspective, a real 3D perspective to the model. There are certain cases when you want to show this to a patient where this is better, but I almost never use this feature. So for now, I'll take it off. as you can see here, it returns to normal. And as we covered the last 3 here when we talked about the mouse, I'm actually through explaining to you what all these 25 tools are doing. So the final thing I want to show you in this video is how you configure the toolbars, and it is very, very, very easy. So there are 2 things you can do really. You'll notice that each of these icons in the toolbars here, they are in certain sections, and each section is put in here by this dotted line here. You can expand this if you want, or you can move it around if you want. Normally, if you want to place this group of icons, you just move the dotted line here to another place on the screen if you would rather have that. And this goes for the visualization toolbar as well. If you want to add or remove certain icons in the toolbar, the way it works is that I can do that over here. I right click and choose configure. It's the same thing up here, right click and choose configure. When I choose configure, it will show me the 3 groups like here, and as you can probably guess, it will add and remove the various icons here. For instance, give you an example, at the very far right here we have an icon showing our new indirect bonding workflow. If I want to remove this on the screen for now, I click here, click OK, and that icon will disappear from view. And again, you probably guessed it, if I want to add it again, I can simply go in here and select it. Okay. So that was basically it. So now you have a very good introduction, I hope, to the main Ortho Analyzer user interface. You know what the 4 main areas are, how you navigate the model here, how you use the mouse, and even how you can configure the right button. Also, you should know how most of these 25 tools in the visualization toolbar works. So that's it. I urge you to check out our other videos in the how-to series of the Ortho system, and thank you for watching.